Hello and welcome to Ask Dr. Mache on Facebook Live. I'm Dr. Mache Seibel. I'm one of the country's leading experts in menopause and perimenopause and women's wellness. And it's a new year. And I wanted to say hello and welcome you and see if there are questions that you have. I have a question for you. Did you make any New Year's resolutions? Those are pretty common things to do. And since it's the first of the year, it's a great time to take an opportunity to make these resolutions and to see what things you can change for the better, for your happiness, for your vitality, and of course for your health. One of the things I wanted to suggest to you, or first let me just tell you that this is brought to you by Hot Years Magazine. Hot Years Magazine is the leading magazine available for women in midlife. It's available on the Apple newsstand. It's available for any digital format that you have. And it's an award-winning magazine that comes out with your information that you need to help you stay well and feel well. And you can find it and get a free subscription at hotyearsmag.com. hotyearsmag.com. You can get that and it'll come directly to your inbox. And you can enjoy it in any digital format that you have. So I want you to take advantage of this opportunity. I had a wonderful experience in December. I got to speak at the Massachusetts Conference for Women, and it's a tremendous venue. There were 17,000 women there, and I talked about the impact of menopause on women in the workplace, the impact that it's having, and it's really quite significant and a topic that more women should be aware of, and frankly, more employers should be aware of so they can make the working conditions better. And not only would that be beneficial to the women, but it would also be beneficial to the companies because the women, as they do better and feel better, perform better at work. And that, of course, makes everybody happy, the women and the companies. So back to my original questions, did you make any New Year's resolutions? One of the things I wanted to suggest with you is if you do make it, is ask you a second question. Will you keep it? Because it turns out that only about 25% of people will actually stay committed to their New Year's resolution for up to 30 days. And only about 8% of people will actually accomplish their New Year's resolutions. So it's a very small percentage of people. And what do people ask for when they do their New Year's resolutions? Well, most of the time, some of the most common things is they want to lose weight. Has that ever happened to you? Have you ever said, I wish I could lose weight? Other common ones are, I'd like to quit smoking. Unfortunately, still a lot of people are smoking, and that's a pretty unhealthy habit. But people understand that. They want to quit smoking. So New Year's resolution, I'll quit smoking. Others people say, I'd like to make more money. Some say, I'd like to drink less. Others say, I'd like to eat less. And when you think about it, really, the New Year's resolutions are not really so much resolutions as they are habits. And they're bad habits that people want to turn into good habits. Does that happen to you? Hi, Laura. How are you? Happy New Year to you. And welcome to Ask Dr. Mache. Did you have a good New Year's? I hope you did. It was a happy time, and we spent time with our family. I'm sure that you might have done the same thing. And I'm glad you're taking time in the new year to join me here this evening. I'm always interested to see where people live, where they're from, and to answer questions if you have any. As you know, getting time with experts in the field are sometimes very hard, and sometimes you feel like, wow, I didn't even have more than a few minutes to talk. And here we can sit and chat for a while. So welcome here. Well, anyway, a habit is really a routine behavior that people do repetitively, and they do it because it gets to be easy. And people like doing things the easiest way possible. So they do things the same old way they've always done it because, hey, it's easy. So at some point, those behaviors just become unconscious, and you just do stuff. And not everything we do is healthy. So I've been reading a book called Atomic Habits. It's kind of an interesting book, and actually John Clear, who's the author of the book, was actually one of the speakers, along with myself, at the Massachusetts Conference for Women. And he talked about ways that you could turn your habits into good habits, how you could turn bad habits into good habits. And I thought I'd talk about that because when I do coaching for people, with people, because not everybody's close enough to see me as a patient, but when I do coaching by phone with people, a lot of times what they want to do is to change the way they behave in a way that it benefits them instead of ways that are detracting for them. So I want to talk about some of the things that was in this book, Atomic Habits. And here's some of the things that you can do to make good habits in the new year and to help you. One suggestion was to make it obvious. So making it obvious means you say something like you create a sentence in your mind. You say, I will do, like for instance, a certain behavior at a certain time in a certain location. Lorraine, you're from Ohio, quiet holidays, no kids came home. Well, that can be a good thing or a bad thing, but it was your thing, and that makes it a good thing because you could enjoy it the way that you wanted to. So, Laura, it's really nice that you had a quiet holiday, and sometimes quiet is a good thing. Back to the habits is to make it obvious. So what do I mean by that? Well, you say, I will do, for instance, I will go walking or I will exercise at 8 o'clock in the morning at the gym. Or I will clean up my room, throw out some of the stuff I don't need from last year at noon today in my bedroom, and I'm going to do that for 15 minutes. So now you have what you're going to do, you have where you're going to do it, and when you're going to do it. And studies show that if people put a time and a place and a specific activity on something, that they're much more likely to do it. And then if you continue to do it that way, you'll develop a good habit. Another thing is to what they call stack your habits. In other words, do something that you currently do and then add something to it. So, you might want to, for instance, you want to put sunscreen on your face. And so what you do is you're going to go for a walk and you're going to do it at a certain time and place. Now you put the sunscreen by the door. So when you walk out the door, you already know you're going for your walk, but you're stacking your habit because your second habit is to have the sunscreen right by the door. So it's easy to just flip the cap off and put some on your face so you don't have to worry about skin cancer. So make it obvious. That's number one thing to do. The second thing to do is to make it attractive. And what do I mean by that? Well, you combine something that you want to do with something you really don't want to do. And I'll give you an example. For that, for instance, my wife goes to the gym at a certain time, and it turns out there's a grocery store that's right next door. So when she goes to the grocery store, something she wants to do, she stacks that with going to the grocery store right next door, which is something she doesn't particularly want to do. She has to do it. So she goes, And so you add one thing and stack it with another thing, something that you like to do, but something you don't really like to do, but it's convenient right on the way. It's not even a block out of the way. It's like straight line on the way. So that's called stacking. So number one is make it obvious. Number two is to make it attractive. The third thing is to make it easy. And making it easy means you start repeating it. You repeat things, and the more you repeat them, the easier they become. I mean, remember when you were tying your shoes or riding your bike or whatever you were learning to do, the first time you did it, you may have got a knot instead of a bow, or you may have fallen on your sidewalk and your back end on the sidewalk. But, you know, the more you did it, the more you could do it. And so an easy way to do that is, one thing is to make a 2-minute rule. So if you want to make something easy, making it easy is something like, say you wanted to go for that walk, and you decided to go for a walk, but you're just getting in that habit. You never do any exercise. Now you're going to. So what do you do the first day? Well, you're not going to go run 3 miles or walk 3 miles. So sometimes maybe all you do is you put on your tennis shoes and tie that knot I was telling you about, or tie that bow, and that's all you do. Maybe the next day you get up, you put on your tennis shoes, and you walk out the door to the corner. So you make it easy, and you make it something you can do in 2 minutes. And then by doing something in a simple way, you can make a habit that you can reinforce. Now, eventually, hopefully you're going to walk for 15 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes or 50 minutes. But when you start, whatever the habit, whether it's exercising or cleaning the house, or whether it's reading a book, say you want to read a book. You want to read a book every week or a book every month. Well, the way to start is you read 1 page. And now you know in 2 minutes you can read a page. So you say, oh, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to read a page. And then you keep doing that every day. You read another page and another page, and then maybe you read 2 pages. And these little bitty steps make a big difference. And you know, the reason these little bits of a difference make a big difference in outcome is because the issue is that if you think about it, if you were to board a plane in Los Angeles and you were to fly to New York, and that jet plane was only off by 3.5 degrees, just 3.5 degrees, instead of ending in New York, you would end up in Washington, D.C., hundreds of miles away. So it doesn't take very much difference to make a huge impact. So to start making a new habit, the first thing is to make it obvious. The second thing is to make it attractive. And the third thing is to make it easy. The fourth thing is to make it satisfying. And that means that you do things that have some element of reward. For instance, in this book, they gave an example that chewing gum was developed and invented in the 1800s, and nobody wanted to chew it. And the reason is you could chew it, and you chew and you chew and you chew. It never gets any different. It never gets smaller. You can chew it, but they had no flavor. And then Wrigley's, the double mint spearmint gum, they put flavor in their chewing gum. And that went from being something no one was interested in to the world's biggest gum maker. And it's because there was something in it that was satisfying. So if you have something that's satisfying, then you are much more likely to do it. So to make a habit, a positive habit, make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. So, and the other thing is, you can align to make it satisfying. You align your reward with your identity. If you want to get in shape, and you might want to work out with people who are, also in shape. If you want to, for instance, want more free time, and your reward for doing a certain activity is I'm going to take some time off instead of watching television or doing something else that maybe doesn't add anything to your identity. Maybe you instead take a bubble bath because it makes you feel good. So all of these things are clues and tricks to help you make a good habit. And that way, instead of having a New Year's resolution, you make a New Year's habit. And just making those little bits of change can have really a huge change in your outcome. And if you put those changes either towards your work or towards your health or towards your weight loss or any one thing, and just make these little bitty increments that are obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying, then you're much more likely to come up with something this year that you can put in your bag of improvements to make the 2019 one of the best years ever. So I hope that's helpful for you. Well, we still have a few minutes, and if you have any questions on any topic related to women's wellness and menopause, I'd be happy to try and answer them. I remember that this is brought to you by the Hot Years magazine. Here's another one up here. Hot Years is really the #1 magazine for women's wellness, and particularly for women in the perimenopause and menopause years. And I think you'll find it's beautiful. It's got great content. And you can get it for free at hotyearsmag.com. The second thing I'll mention to you is this year, in the new year, I've had a number of people ask me who are too far away to see me as a patient, but would like to do coaching with me, if they could spend some time with me to help them with the issues that they're dealing with. And so I'm going to take only 5 people, and I'm going to do menopause coaching and offer them time that they can spend with me in blocks of time up to 3 months, where we would talk on the phone every week, address their issues, be giving them plans and helping them to put together a formula that will work for them, a sort of a roadmap to help them get from where they are to deal with their most challenging symptoms and to help them get to where they want to be. So some of it will be, which types of treatments to take and so forth, but some of it will be the kinds of things we've been talking about. How do you make habits that will serve you instead of having you serving them? Like, how do you stop doing something you shouldn't be doing rather than continue doing something that you are that's not healthy? And if that's of interest to you, you can set up a no-cost initial meeting with me and at menopausecoaching.com, and I will speak with you for about 15 minutes, try to understand your most pressing issue, and then talk to you about where you want to be in a year from now and how you can stop feeling some of the challenges that you're doing, and see about if working together with me would be something that would be helpful to you. So do consider that if that's something of interest. It's only going to be 5 slots, so if you want to do that at menopausecoaching.com, you can check that out. And don't forget to pick up the magazine at hotyearsmag.com. It's a great magazine. If you have any questions, I'll still be happy to answer them. And if you come across this, I will post it on Facebook. And if you come across this after it's already done and it's no longer live, I will check back over the next day or 2. And if questions come in, I will attempt to address them. But I'll look over it over the next couple of days just to see that I didn't miss anybody's questions. For those of you who don't know, I'm very interested in this area. I started my career as one of the country's top fertility experts, doing one of the first in vitro fertilizations in the United States, and even helping gorillas get pregnant at the zoo. But when the study came out in 2002 suggesting that hormones caused breast cancer, which they do not, or other issues, I was switched my efforts from infertility to menopause, and I did that because my wife had surgery just about the time that paper came out, and that threw her into early menopause. And as a result of that, many of her doctors were reluctant to give her hormones, and I had to help her figure that out so she wouldn't have to tough it out. And I have spoken about that. It's actually in my book, The Estrogen Fix. And I've talked about this all over the country. I've talked to women's groups. I've talked to medical groups. And just like I spoke at the Massachusetts Conference for Women just last month. And what I found is a lot of people are confused about hormones, and they really need help. And if they don't want hormones, they're confused about what else can I do? And that's why I offer the menopause coaching at menopausecoaching.com, and why I write about it at hotyearsmag.com, and why I do these Facebook Lives. I do these the first Thursday of the month, each month. Sometimes I do additional ones. And if you have topics that are of interest, please let me know. I'd be happy to address different topics, because I'm going to be talking about something. And usually I try to talk about things that either people have asked me about or that I think would be helpful to you. So let me know. Well, I want to thank you for spending some of your time with me. Happy New Year to you. I hope it'll be a healthy and happy one, full of good things. Laura, I want to thank you for having the courage to speak up and put your name in. Always happy and appreciative that people speak up, because as I'm talking with you, I like to get the feedback. It's always really nice. And if you will, you can share this with people if you found it useful. Share it with your friends. Let them know they can come on and listen to it. And I'll be here the first Thursday of the month at 9 p.m. Eastern each month. And in between, from time to time, when I have something that comes up that I think will be of interest to you. So in the meantime, I wish you, again, happy and healthy New Year. And remember, it's better to stay well than to get well. Thanks for joining me. I'm Dr. Mache at Ask Dr. Mache.